this dialogue. Are you guys ready to dive into a little interview with Hope about a Helping Hands for Hope? All right. So we have a very special guest joining us today, Hope Burke, the Executive Director of Hands of Hope. For over 54 years, Helping Hands of Hope has been serving our neighbors in Hardin County with emergency assistance, food, utilities, rental assistance, and so much more. And after Winter Storm Fern, their work has never been more critical. Hope, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I've gotten to know you really well. I sit on the board for Helping Hands for Hope, and I've just had the privilege of getting to know you. And then we recently got to sit with you and go deep dive into your story with Hometown Hustle. And so today we've asked you to come in and just kind of update us on what's happening here in our community. So tell us a little bit about the past week and how it has looked over at Helping Hands of Hope during this storm.
Okay, so we obviously had to close our store here, like Helping Hand of Hope had to close. And so I was pretty much on call for 24 hours a day during the storm because I told my staff, I was like, you all have something to do at home, but I'll answer all the emails, I'll answer all the calls, I'll answer all the messages. So for us, like for them, it was okay. Like they could still do like their 8 hours and be fine. But for me, it was like phone calls at 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, all of that because of the need. And I think even before the storm, it started like that Wednesday because we got like that bluff of little bit of snow, that we all had to close. But then it was that big situation on, Saturday, which it was more of the snow, ice, kind of thing that was a little bit more than I think any of us were ready for. So it was just, I feel like chaos.
So we noticed there was an urgent post made. You mentioned that you're out of funding for the homeless transient program. Can you help our audience understand what that means for people in need right now and how those dollars are actually used?
Yes. So we have a transient program that we help people with either bus tickets, because a lot of times people, if we are full here with capacity, we can get them to Louisville, Bowling Green, somewhere else. Or maybe they have family somewhere that they've connected with, but they're just like, I can't get back home. So that allows bus tickets to be able to get back out of the area. Or we do the hotel vouchers, which during the storm, that was like for a week at a time because we were working with Room in the Inn to see if they were full. We were working with the Elizabethtown Police Department, seeing where they were at. And then we also provide gas because sometimes people are just like, I need gas to get somewhere. And so we help with that. Well, when I did the budget last year again, we just seen such an increase with the homeless population. Like, I don't think people honestly really realize how much is here in Hardin County. And so we're just constantly getting things, whether it's single parents have gotten evicted, it's fires, it's just mental health. It's just, unfortunate situations where people have found themselves homeless. And so when this started, I was like, okay, I have a budget of what I can do because we were really already over that budget for the year because we have already had like such a bad winter and different things that have happened. And by that day that I made that post, I had to message my executive team on the board and I was like, guys, I'm out of money. And so then it was those phone calls of, I can't help you. And so I'm usually not a person that tries to do like an urgent plea really fast, but I was like, I've got to put something out there. And even the money that was raised in 24 hours, we were out again. And so then we had a lot of people that were contacting us because I know our warehouse manager went out several times. We had people come by the office to pick up food boxes because they had neighbors that were stuck in their apartment complexes. Our warehouse manager went out to deliver a food box to a woman that couldn't even get her meds. So he ended up driving her to the pharmacy because he was like, I can't let this woman not have her blood pressure medicine and heart medicine. So during that storm, we ended up giving out 65 food bags. I believe it's 40 something hygiene, but just in that week. And so it depleted our Clients Like Food Pantry. And our Clients Like Food Pantry is a little bit different because that's donation based only. And when our neighbors come in, they get to actually go in and get for their amount of their household, like so the number of people in their household, and they know their dietary restrictions. They know what they're going to use. So it's not wasteful stuff. So they get to go in and pick, like it's almost like a grocery store because we still want to give them that dignity aspect. So when we had to go and make those boxes really fast, those 65, it depleted a lot of our Client Select. And so it was just a very scary moment because I was like, what if we have another winter storm? Like they said, I think at 12 o'clock today or something, could happen again until 6 o'clock tonight. And I'm like, we have no more funding for that.
So what's the most critical need? How can people support in this moment? What can people bring today, or where can they donate? What is the need?
So I would say monetary is always important. And I know I hate when you're a nonprofit and you're always like, please give us money. But that's always the biggest thing, because then it can be put where it needs to go. If somebody's wanting to go buy food, that's always very important because of that client select. So we have on our social media right now on Facebook and Instagram some of the needs that are, that we need for that, like cereals, oatmeals, canned soup. We don't need any canned green beans or canned corn. Like, please don't bring that. I always tell people, I'm like, anything that you would feed your family, that's what our neighbors like too. So it doesn't have to be the Dollar Tree stuff or the Dollar General. Like if you're at Kroger, pick up an extra couple of items that you're picking up and then donate that. But monetary items, monetary donations on our website are always, those funds can be used for the items that we need, especially for if there's more transient situations that come in for the homeless and different things like that. None of those donations go to payroll or anything like that. It goes straight to our neighbors in need.
Phil, can we drop that link? Perfect. You are already thinking along the same lines. I was like, let's get that link. So you can follow this link, and there's actually a portal where you can make, and I tell you, $1. You would be amazed at this lady and how she's going to stretch that as far as possible. So $1 is not too little. Obviously, as much as you are capable of donating would be a blessing. And then if they want to drop off items, that starts Monday at 9 a.m. and they could drop off between what hours?
It's 9 to 12 and then 1 to 4. Now, again, depending on what Mother Nature decides to do today, if we're here tomorrow, but we always try to be very transparent on social media. Like if we are closed or have to close early, people can also mail a donation. They can call us if they have any questions. They can go to our social media channels. But it's just very important, because I always tell people, like I always say, these are neighbors in need. This could be somebody that's sitting next to your child in class, or this could be somebody that you go to church with, or somebody that you're standing in line at Kroger with that's in need. And, we just need to be there to be a helping hand. And like I said, we'll do the best that we can with those donation dollars to make them go the farthest. Because like I said, for me, even mentally was the hardest thing to be able to sit there and say, we can't do it anymore.
Well, and one of the things that as I've sat on the board, I think from time to time, you can be unaware of situations that are occurring right in your backyard. Not because you are selfish or because you are solely focused on yourself. It's just because there's not an awareness level. And I think sitting on the board has really opened my eyes to just the need. And you're right, it literally could be the kid next to my son in class, right? And so being more involved has been something I'm very passionate about. And I love that you guys are truly the hands and feet of Jesus. You guys go out and being on call 24 hours a day. This community has just impressed me over this snowstorm. I mean, so many people have been out plowing driveways and cleaning off sidewalks for elderly. And this is a way that you can support our community and our neighbors right from your warm home, right? Just going on that portal and donating. So I want to tell a little bit about your story. I know we have
Sorry, John, before you do that, we had a
Jump,
couple
please.
questions from viewers.
Actually, these are some good ones too, Hope. Do you guys help with light bills as well?
Yes. So we help with utility assistance and rental assistance. That is on a first come, first served basis. We used to take appointments in the afternoon, but I had told my staff now, like all of us have decided, we're just going to take walk-ins because it's too hard to try to do appointments. So if somebody does finish early, it can just be walk-ins. But we do help with utility bills, water bills, deposits for those, rent assistance, and rent deposits.
Awesome. Phil, there's another one up here. Would you schedule a large pickup of food from someone who is remodeling their home and wants to donate everything in the pantry?
Sure would. Call me.
Yeah, that would be huge. Do you mind to, Phil, did I send you her number? Let's put that up. Or
just our cell phone number.
George Pratt, Helping Hand for Hope's number. Right up there. That way, if you do have a large pickup, that would be huge.
And I probably will call you from my cell phone. One time my cell phone did get plastered on. I'm like, let's wait for that long calls.
That's a lot of calls. Any other comments, Bill, that we need to bring up?
What's the phone number that we can share?
270-769-3092. And if they message on social media, I always get those. So it'll be me answering too. So if they message us on Facebook or Instagram, that's me as well.
Perfect.
Do you have a preferred way. You want can just call you.
Better, I'll get it either way. So I mean, it's whichever way. So if it's one of those things, if it's after hours or if it is Mother Nature decides to be herself, then it's one of those that they can message on social media and I'll answer.
Perfect. All right. Well, I had the privilege of sitting down with you on Hometown Hustle and hearing your full story without giving too much away. Can we share a little bit about what drives you to do this work and why serving people in crisis is so personal to you?
Yeah. So I think for me, I was a single mom. I was homeless at one point. And I had someone that came into my life, well, two people that came into my life that was a married couple that they helped change me for good. And they showed me what living a life like the feet of Jesus, like the hands and feet of Jesus were really like without judgment or anything like that. And so I just always try to remember that every day because days in here are very, very hard. But I just always try to remember like, people a lot of times are in fight or flight. I don't care if you have money or you don't have money. Like there's one situation that could happen that could just make you like, whew. And especially me being a former New Yorker at heart, like little things set me off and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we got to get this done. But I think it's just very important. And that's why I love doing this here because even with our thrift store here, our boutique, I wanted like an area to where people could come and shop to where they felt their dignity and it wasn't like just thrown together. So I wanted it to be one of those situations where it was like, okay, people can still get stuff and still afford things. You know what I mean? And not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being judged if I go in there because everybody can do their shop. It's, one of those things. And all of that funding goes back to Helping Hand of Hope. But for me, it's just very personal because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel like you're being judged if you have to go get food stamps or to wonder, because I did have to get Christmas assistance one year for my son after Superstorm Sandy. And so it's just one of those that I always try to remember and tell people too to remember. Like I said, it could be someone next to you. People don't realize that most Americans don't have a savings account. And if one thing happens, that can throw somebody's world upside down. My stepson had to have a transplant a few years ago and, our life stopped for basically a year. And people don't realize those simple things that go on in your life and happen like that just in that instant. And especially if, let's say, your transmission goes out or your hot water heater or something like that, and you don't have a savings or your electricity bill skyrockets because the weather's been so crazy and now you can't pay your rent. And so I just always try to tell people just to remember that because it could be any of us at any moment.
Well, your story is one that is extremely inspiring to me. It's one of the most powerful ones.
Oh, we'll give her a second. Everybody's on the internet. Oh, I think you're back, Rachel.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now? Well, your story is incredibly inspiring. I also want to give a little shout out to your incredible team because I've gotten to meet a few of them and also all the wonderful volunteers that come in to serve as well. So you do an incredible job leading them, and I'm honored to sit on the board to observe that. So if you want to hear Hope's full story, and trust me, you absolutely do, check out the Hometown Hustle podcast. You can find it on YouTube, and there's also an abridged version on Hardin Local. So go to hardinlocal.com and look for the link in step 5 of our checklist. So
I did want to tell you guys really quick. Somebody just messaged me. We need to take an S off of Helping Hands of Hope because it's going to the wrong nonprofit, the scheme code.
very important.
Oops.
Whoops. I think it's because people always say hands is helpinghandofhope.org, which I do it all the time too. So just so we know, because somebody just texted me and I was like, hold on.
Let's adjust that real quick.
I even copied and pasted it. Whoever just scanned that code, don't use it.
But I appreciate that because, and I always tell people we all go through seasons. And that's another big thing that I tell people, like we all go through seasons and just remember that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the long-term goal for Helping Hand for Hope. So where we're at today, how you got there, but then what is your vision? What is the board's vision? What is the one thing our audience can do to help you get to that?
So, okay, that's like a 3-part, I think. So for me, when I first started, we had a lot of different programs, but I started and then we had a global pandemic and like everything. I was like, I started and it was this, and I always joke and say, I had the resume capacity, but it helped that my name was Hope. Those people remember. So I love nonprofit work, and I've always been like, what can we do to make sure that we serve people in the way that we need to serve them? And so for us, a lot of times when our neighbors come to us, like they don't have gas to go all over. And so I like when they can come here and we can meet as many needs as we can before we have to send them to the next place or we have to figure something like that. So my dream is to have a more area to where it is that, because we are budgeting, we are doing these different things, and to have to where we can serve more of our neighbors. Because like I said, we do have so many people that come in, but we have people that situations where it's fire, whether it's cars, whether it's anything like that, that one situation. And so I believe, like, in my heart, I think if we could get to that, because when I first started, our budget was like $300 and something dollars or $300 and something $1,000. Now we're at over $500,000. In another year, we could be at $1 million. And, you know, we do not get any federal grants whatsoever. We get grants that are local grants and some state grants, but no federal grants, and it's donor dollars. And so Helping Hand of Hope is celebrating its 55th year this year. And so, yes, everybody clap. That's incredible because we're like the oldest nonprofit, like, you know, that's been in Hardin County that's been doing these things here. And so I think that should tell our donors and our neighbors something because we have been here this long and we have been doing these things. And so it's important because I always say that this is a journey that we all take together. And I appreciate my board because even when I do come with some ideas that I think sometimes people may be like, well, let's, you know, talk this out. I always have that commitment for my board and I always have those listening ears because being a nonprofit leader, you can really feel like you're on an island by yourself. And there's a lot of hard days to where you're like, okay, does anybody understand how I feel? Does anybody know that this is affecting me? You know, and I have a wonderful staff that, like we've said, like I trust them, they trust me, like we're all in this together. And so that's very, very important. And so I think with the fact that we have all these fundamental things and we want to see this grow and we want to see this bigger, even with like our Beds for Children's program, our Affordable Christmas program, all of these different things, I think that that's just very important. And it's like I told people, we're in our 55th year. So even if you can donate $55 a month, $55 one time, like that's just so important and such a great thing to have because, again, look at how many neighbors have been served. And again, is it somebody that you know that maybe they haven't told you, or is it you one day that you could be in that situation and know that we're here?
Well, and the need isn't decreasing. As our community expands, the need is increasing. And so it sounds to me like the action step to take from this is that every dollar matters. And if you're able to make a donation of any kind, that's going to go directly right this minute to making sure that people are off the streets and have housing or have bus tickets to get back to family or have enough food to eat right now in this time. So it is, you know, I think everybody's felt the weather and the impact from it. I know a lack of ability to get to work and NTI and all the other fun stuff. So I think this is a great way for us all to come together and donate just what you can to supporting Helping Hand for Hope. So,
and another thing I would like to ask, like, you know, some of us are blessed to where, which again, I have one that's graduated and one that's NTI, but we have a house to go to do that. Like, what about these neighbors that they're missing this work and they're not getting paid? And I don't think a lot of people think about that. And then, like I saw on social media yesterday, somebody was like, does anybody know, because I'm a single mom, I have nowhere for my kids to go. I have no sick time, no vacation time. And how are my bills going to get paid? And I think that that's sometimes that we forget about those things too. Just those simple things that are not, I don't want to say taken for granted, but they are, if that makes sense.
right. They're not even luxuries. They're just the standard.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure, Phil, did we get all those links adjusted? I want to make sure before we go that everyone knows how to, we've got the phone number in the comments. We've now got a
Yes, we're good. We're good.
QR code. Perfect.
Say about that time.
We'll put all of these, of course, on hardinlocal.com, and I'm assuming Phil will make a Facebook follow-up post. That way people who still want to. So, because we would very much like to continue being a part of supporting Helping Hand for Hope. So no donation is too small, guys. This is neighbors truly helping neighbors. So Hope, thank you so much for everything you do for our community. We love you. We appreciate you, your staff. We appreciate them, the volunteers. We appreciate all of them, especially during this difficult weather in our community. So thank you for everything you do. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. And it's been a blessing. And if anybody needs me, the phone number is on there. And just thank you for letting me share my story a little bit today and then before. So thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add before you dropped off that I watched your interview on Hometown Hustle, and it was very powerful. I do have both the links. I have the full interview linked on hardinlocal.com in the February 3rd links. I also have the abridged version that we published. You can watch either one. One's an hour, the other one's 18 minutes.
And I appreciate that because, and that's something I always tell people, like, don't be embarrassed of your story. Like, it's always just chapters in your book. And so it took me a long time to realize that and to be able to talk about things that have happened. And everybody laughed. My friends that did know about it, that watched it, and they were like, hope people only got like 4 years of your life. I'm like, I know, but we have these series that we could be watching during snow days. But I appreciate everything and you guys letting me come and join you guys today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again.
When I have real quick, Rachel, is well, you business owners on here, when you donate, it is a tax write-off or some type of deduction. So keep that in mind as well if you do own a business and you want to even help put that dollar even more to good use.
Absolutely. Very true, Scott. All right, Phil.